The FBI is the most sophisticated law enforcement agency in the world, pursuing the most dangerous criminals. When 3 people are gunned down in a quiet Florida community.
To just murder an entire family, a basic execution.
The Bureau mobilizes.
We're very fearful of what he could possibly do. He was armed, he was on the run.
He's not the person that he led my family to believe that he is.
You low-life scumbag son of a bitch. How dare you kill? How dare you be such a coward?
There is evil in the world, and he was evil.
FBI. Criminal Pursuit. Just before midnight, on July 23, 2002, 8-year-old Rebecca Reed is staying up past her bedtime. She shares a bedroom in a modest Jacksonville, Florida home with her 16-year-old sister, Courtney.
She was on the computer and I was coloring while my older brother and little brother were in their room. I remember hearing the dogs barking.
The girls hear their mother, Liz, and her boyfriend, Glenn Pafford, go to the living room to check on the dogs.
Nobody really seemed alarmed. It was casual walking into the living room to see what the dogs were barking about.
Because the dogs keep barking, Courtney goes out to investigate.
She calmly told me to stay here. I'll be right back. It seemed like it was forever, but it was probably, in reality, only like 5-10 minutes. I don't remember hearing anything other than we had 5 chihuahuas and they were all barking.
When Courtney fails to return, Rebecca steps out into the hallway. And into a nightmare.
Something kind of kicked in and I just stood there for a second. And I didn't really register what was going on. Being so young, you're like, why is your sister laying on the floor like that? And then you see blood and you freak out. I walked into the living room, I can hear Courtney making certain noises, like a gargling noise. I could still hear her breathing.
Reeling from shock, Rebecca looks up and sees the intruder.
I don't know if he saw me or not. I just remember seeing someone standing behind the couch with a gun. I didn't recognize him at all.
In a split second, Rebecca races down the hallway and runs to her older brother for help.
Mom and Courtney are bleeding in the living room.
What?
I remember telling him that there was bodies in the living room. My older brother told me to hide. He told me to get underneath my bed and not move until he came and got me or someone else came and got me.
Rebecca watches helplessly as her brother picks up his only weapon, a BB gun, and steps out alone to bravely confront the gunman, risking his life in order to save the lives of his family. The front door remains open. The killer is nowhere in sight. Their mother, Liz Reed, is dead on the floor in a pool of blood. Her boyfriend, Glenn Pafford, lies dead a few feet away. Courtney is in the hallway, gasping in tortured breaths, with a gunshot wound to her head.
911. Something happened. My mom, her boyfriend, my little sister's in here. They're bleeding everywhere. I don't know what happened.
Okay, you don't know what happened?
No,
it look like they've been shot? Or...
It's all gunshots. It smells like gunpowder in here. Oh my God. But everybody's bleeding here. I don't know what happened. Oh God. What happened? What the happened?
My older brother had a terrified look on his face, like he was just mind blown, didn't know what to do, scared. He was worried about all of us kids, didn't know what would happen if the guy was still in our house, or if he was gone, or if he was coming back with another gun, or what.
Responders arrive within minutes. Paramedics rush Courtney to the hospital as the other 3 children are taken away from the chaos.
I heard she runs in my room. I don't know what happened.
It was probably one of the saddest scenes that I had seen. Literally, you're walking over bodies in this one small living room area.
Investigators from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office are left alone with 2 corpses and a lot of questions.
It didn't appear as a home invasion robbery. It seemed to be more of a personal crime of violence, so geared against an individual for some reason.
But who was the killer's intended target? And why?
This case provided a lot of complexities because you have to take apart 3 people's lives.
Investigators start with the homeowner, Liz Reed. She was a vivacious 35-year-old, raising 4 kids between the ages of 6 and 16. She worked at a grocery store to support her family. Liz was a terrific mom, but her love life proved to be a far more complex affair.
Liz had 2 previous husbands. She was currently dating, and she had at least 1 ex-boyfriend.
Liz married her first husband while still a teenager. Just months after her 18th birthday, she gave birth to Courtney. By the time she had her second child 2 years later, the marriage was already on the rocks.
Liz's first marriage, they were both young. Unfortunately, after 2 children, they realized that the marriage should have never happened, and they divorced.
Her second marriage started out promising.
He was the kind of guy you would want your daughter to marry. He, at that point, had been in the Navy for many, many years.
But when her husband was deployed on a 6-month stint at sea, Liz got lonely, raising 4 children alone. She had an affair. And when her husband found out, the marriage ended. 3 years later, Liz met Glenn Pafford, the other victim of this fatal shooting. She knew this sweet supermarket manager was the one she'd been waiting for. A nice guy with a stable job. Could he be the intended target of these vicious killings?
People that we interviewed knew him as Mr. P and as the guy who was a manager at this large supermarket retailer. He was well known to the community, very friendly face at the supermarket.
But could there be secrets hidden behind his friendly smile?
Was there any type of confrontation that he had with any employees or customers?
And then there was one victim who was still clinging to life in the emergency room.
Courtney, who was in school, who could be involved in anything in one of the high schools or something like that, that led to some type of retaliation.
Her friends tell police Courtney has no enemies or been in any trouble, at least that they know of.
No drugs, no ex-boyfriends. We got in trouble for skipping school. That was about the worst Courtney ever did. There was nothing, none of the partying or anything like that.
The only eyewitness is a frightened and grieving 8-year-old girl who has just been told that her mother was murdered.
I remember breaking down and just screaming and crying. I thought that she was just laying there. I thought she would be okay and I'd see my mom again, but I didn't.
Rebecca saw the shooter, but failed to get a good look at him.
They asked me who I saw, and I thought it was a teenager. I thought he was kind of short. I didn't recognize him at all.
It's not much to go on. Then, detectives find an unexpected witness, a neighbor who caught a glimpse of the killer.
The neighbor had seen a person going over a fence in their yard, unable to really describe the suspect, but stated that he had gotten into a red truck.
It's still not enough information to ID this cold-blooded killer. They're hoping the crime scene will provide more answers. The only physical evidence amounts to a few .22 caliber bullet casings and 2 dead bodies.
All the ballistics indicated there was one type of firearm, 22 rifle.
Liz was shot twice. But her boyfriend, Glenn, has 3 bullets to the head. Both were shot at point-blank range.
I believe at some point he was either begging for his life or at least going down towards the ground when the final shot occurred.
Courtney was found lying near the hallway with 1 bullet in her skull. The murders have the earmarks of a gangland slaying or a mob-style hit. Without any obvious leads emerging from within the victim pool, investigators begin to wonder, could this be a random attack? Is a thrill killer hunting in Jacksonville? Who would want to kill a seemingly normal family in their suburban home? And why leave a surviving witness behind?
We knew that whoever we were looking for and whoever did this meant business, and they were really trying to hurt and kill these people.
We have a suspect out there who has yet to be identified. We're very concerned what he is capable of doing.
The morning of July 25th, 2002, the city of Jacksonville, Florida, awakens to shocking news. 3 people, Liz Reed, a mother of 4, her teenage daughter Courtney, and Liz's boyfriend Glenn Pafford have all been shot, execution style, by an unknown gunman. A gunman who's armed, dangerous, and on the run.
What you had here was you had an innocent family that everybody can relate to, that everybody can say, but for the grace of God, I could have been that victim, or my family could have been that victim. So in that sense, everybody is scared to death that there's somebody lurking around with a firearm wanting to kill innocent people.
16-year-old Courtney miraculously survived the shooting, but she's now barely clinging to life, with her grandparents keeping close watch by her bedside.
Courtney was a special part of my life. She was the first grandchild, the first one I held when she was first born. So she was very special to me.
There was so many emotions and so many feelings while we were sitting there in that hospital waiting to find out if Courtney was going to pull through or not.
Every time my dad came home from the hospital, I would always ask, how's Courtney? And he'd always say, she's okay. And I think he was just saying she was okay, is that she wasn't in pain. She didn't know what was going on. She was just there being held on by life support.
The investigation is also in a critical state.
You're afraid that whoever committed the crime may try to destroy any evidence, may try to flee. And so you're working as hard as you can, as fast as you can, to really get a good understanding of what happened and try to understand why it happened and look for who had committed the crime.
The evidence is slim. 22 caliber bullet casings, a neighbor's sightings of a man in a red truck, and a vague description from the only eyewitness, Elizabeth's 8-year-old daughter, Rebecca.
I just didn't recognize him. I figured it was just some kid wanting to rob a house.
Investigators set up roadblocks and run registrations for red pickups in the county. Every patrol unit is on high alert for any suspicious activity. They fear the killer may come back to finish off Liz's family. Detectives keep watch at the local hospital, hoping that Courtney will gain consciousness, hoping she can tell them what she saw. She's the only mature witness who can ID the shooter.
We have a suspect out there who has yet to be identified that we are going to have to identify and then seek out, capture, and arrest. We're very concerned. We don't know enough as to what this guy was capable of.
Detectives dig deeper into their victims' relationships and discover Liz's recent love affair may have ruffled the wrong feathers. When Liz's second husband was deployed at sea, she met a coworker, Pinckney Carter. What started as a fling blossomed into a romantic relationship. Her husband was furious when Liz broke the news.
When he came back from deployment, he told me he went to the house and Carter was living there.
Baby, I'm home. Who is this?
He's a friend of mine.
And of course, I know what my initial reaction would have been. Somebody's going through the window.
Start screwing a plumber.
The affair was the end of the marriage.
He was very crushed when he found out what Liz and Carter were doing. He never in a million years thought this would happen to him. He never thought Liz would do something like this to him.
Miss Reed and her ex-husband had a difficult divorce, which led to us to have to potentially think that her ex-husband could be a potential suspect.
Ford wonders if husband number 2 still carries a grudge against Liz. Detectives note both of his children survived the shooting. An alibi check can rule him in or out of their investigation. They question him about his whereabouts, but his alibi holds up and he's ruled out as a suspect. Detectives learn Liz and Pinckney Carter dated for several years, and he even helped to take care of the kids.
Carter was trying to fill a paternal role as far as the children were concerned. Hunting and fishing trips. There were family-type vacations.
They were doing things like, going to Disney World and taking summer trips and going to ball games and stuff like that.
After 3 years as a couple, Pinckney asked Elizabeth to marry him. But within months, the relationship was going bankrupt.
Liz was making the mortgage payment and paying for the vacations and the trips and the good times. When the money ran out and she looked at Carter and expected him to start pulling his fair share, that's when the relationship started going sour.
I think she did love Pinckney, but the only thing I really remember them arguing about is just bills. So I guess ultimately she kicked him out for not helping.
After they broke up, Liz began dating supermarket manager Glenn Pafford. Now, Liz is dead, and her daughter Courtney is barely alive with a bullet lodged in her brain. 2 days after the shooting, she is still in intensive care, but there is little hope for her. Her family decides to end life support.
We all asked for the same thing, to have a moment alone. I remember telling her, I said, Courtney, I don't know if you're in there or not, but I'm just here to say goodbye.
I was in the room with her, holding her hand and talking to her as the ventilator was turned off. And 15 minutes later, she took her last breath and she died.
My dad told us that Courtney had passed away, and I remember breaking down and crying all over again because that was the third person that I knew that I lost in a week. And it was really hard. I was really close with my sister.
Courtney's death and the grief of the victims' families strikes a deep chord with investigators.
If you needed an extra push, knowing the pain that they continued to feel was more than enough to push everybody a little bit harder.
Detectives working the homicide case have little time to mourn the dead. They've just lost an important eyewitness who could unlock this mystery. They're frantic to catch this triple murderer before he pulls the trigger again. In July 2002, Jacksonville, Florida, detectives are investigating the shooting deaths of Liz Reed, a mother of 4, her boyfriend Glenn Pafford, and Liz's 16-year-old daughter, Courtney.
Stay here. Don't move.
The only surviving witness police now have are Liz's 8-year-old daughter, Rebecca, and her older brother. Neither can ID the killer. When detectives interview Rebecca's older brother, he gives them one seemingly minor detail that tears open the entire investigation.
He told us about a phone call earlier that evening asking for the whereabouts of his mother.
Phone records reveal Liz Reed's ex-boyfriend, Pinckney Carter, phoned her only hours before the murders.
Hello?
The son answers the phone and provides what turns out to be a lie, that his mother wasn't home and her son didn't want to have any problems.
It seems months after the breakup, Carter continues to carry a torch for Liz.
She was done with the relationship. It was very evident he was not taking no for an answer. He would not understand that she did not want anything more to do with him.
Liz is now dating Glenn Pafford, the manager of the same supermarket chain where Carter and Liz first met and still work.
Liz and Glenn spent more and more time with each other. It became apparent to Pinckney Carter that Liz was serious.
I haven't seen you in a while. I thought maybe we could hang out.
This time, their relationship was done. He didn't handle it well.
Elizabeth.
Carter is determined to win Liz away from Glenn.
He would make phone calls to the house. He would drive by the house. He would talk to associates and co-workers about what exactly Miss Reed was doing.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Then, one morning on her way to work, Liz finds her Jeep vandalized and her car tires slashed. Detectives wonder, had Carter's jealousy escalated to violence? They conduct a background check on Pinckney Carter. They discover that Carter is a military veteran with little ambition. He also drives a red truck, just like the one a neighbor spotted near the house the night of the murders. Detectives want to bring Pinckney Carter in for questioning, but first, they have to find him. He's been living at his mother's house since his breakup with Liz. Armed with a warrant, investigators search his bedroom. Carter isn't home, and his family hasn't seen him in a day. But he has left them a troubling note.
We found a note that indicated that Mr. Carter was going to end his life. The note stated that, "I love you, Mom. I want to be cremated."
Mama, I want to be cremated. I'm sorry.
Detectives wonder, has Pinckney Carter killed himself, distraught over the loss of his ex-girlfriend? Or is the suicide note intended to throw investigators off his scent?
We began checking points of interest from Mr. Carter to see if, in fact, he had gone to commit suicide somewhere else.
They don't find Carter's body or his vehicle anywhere in Jacksonville. His bizarre note and disappearance raises alarms. Investigators run Carter through the system for a possible criminal past. They discover Carter has a history of violence towards women and even sexually assaulted his ex-wife after breaking into her house.
Mr. Carter had previously been married in Oklahoma, and this lady was at home alone in her bed when she noticed a man in her home, in her bedroom, wearing a mask and attacking her. And she recognized this man as Mr. Carter. He was arrested and charged with some kind of sexual assault or aggravated assault. Carter was a very possessive person. He did not want to let go of the women that he loved.
Carter's bizarre criminal past and his obsession with Liz quickly makes him the prime suspect in the triple murder.
Mr. Carter felt incredibly betrayed by Miss Reed, especially when he found out she was having a relationship
We believe that Carter went there with the intent to kill Miss Reed and Mr. Pafford, and then that Courtney came out and in the process shot her to kind of eliminate her as a possible witness.
The families of the victims are stunned.
It was a crushing feeling knowing that somebody that was close to you, lived with you, knew everybody in your family personally, could have done something like this.
My thought was, you low-life scumbag son of a bitch, how dare you? How dare you kill at point-blank range, cold-blooded murder, get in your vehicle and take off down the road like you were going to the 7-Eleven like it was nothing. How dare you?
Carter is wanted for questioning in the brutal triple slaying, but authorities have no idea where he might be.
During that time, we were very fearful of what he could possibly do. We knew he was armed.
The search now intensifies. Authorities can't take the chance that Carter is roaming free.
The question then becomes, where is he? And we need to make sure that everybody's alerted. He's armed and dangerous, and he's already committed some very horrific acts. So be on the lookout for him. And so we asked the assistance of other agencies, including obviously the FBI.
Fugitives, when they're fleeing, are extremely dangerous. Running from a crime and the type of fight or flight mentality, they may hurt or kill anybody that is attempting to take away their freedom. Pinckney Carter was viewed as a threat against, well, any community that he may be in.
Desperate investigators turn to the public for help.
We felt that he was no longer here in Jacksonville. So we started to reach out. We put out a media blitz as well as a law enforcement area blitz.
It pays off. Investigators learn Carter had cleaned out his ATM account and hit the road. He's sighted days later at a rural Texas gas station, filling up his red truck.
We're close, but we can't put our hands on him, and that certainly is hard to deal with.
One of our fears was that Mr. Carter had hurt and killed before, so that when he's angry or when he's intoxicated, one of our fears is that he's very dangerous.
Florida detectives are tracking triple murder suspect Pinckney Carter across the country. He's been sighted driving his red truck as far as Texas. But he manages to evade their dragnet, and the trail goes cold. But they are in for a big shock. After a month on the run, investigators get word that Carter's been captured just over the Texas border in Mexico.
He had abandoned his truck in the United States and attempted to cross into Mexico using the river and flee into Mexico, where American authorities would have a very difficult time finding him and arresting him.
Carter is arrested by Mexican authorities after they confiscate 2 handguns in his possession.
I had never had a suspect be captured in another country. So we reached out to the FBI and said, look, what do we do?
The FBI knows in order to press for extradition, Jacksonville detectives need to charge Carter with the triple slaying. But they lack the physical evidence to do so. They wonder if that evidence might be lying in the bottom of the Rio Grande.
When Mr. Carter crossed the Rio Grande, one of the federal agents saw him toss these 2 rifles into the Rio Grande water.
We asked Texas authorities if they had a dive team so we could try to locate and identify the items that he had thrown in the river. Within minutes of their dive team getting in the water, they found 2 weapons that Carter had thrown in the river.
A ballistics test from the recovered .22 rifle is a dead-on match to the bullets recovered from the crime scene. It's enough for Florida's district attorney to charge Carter with 3 counts of first-degree murder. But Mexico wants to have the first crack at Carter.
Bringing guns into Mexico is a big no-no. You can go to prison for the rest of your life just for bringing a gun into Mexico.
It's enough for Mexican authorities to hold Carter for a very long time. And Mexico agrees to extradite Carter after he finishes his gun smuggling sentence there.
That was not exactly what we wanted to hear. You know, it'd be 5 to 7 years before he was brought back to the United States for our charges, but at least he was going to be incarcerated.
Courtney's best friend is relieved he's behind bars for now.
I thought, we got him. He's gonna finally pay for what he did. He's gonna pay for taking them from us. And there's nothing he can do about it now.
On New Year's Eve, 2003, only 6 months after the murders, any sense of peace is shattered. Carter has been released from his Mexican jail cell. It is devastating news for the victims' families, especially for Liz's father.
This is a mistake.
This animal who murdered 2 generations of my family, my daughter and my granddaughter, and an innocent bystander just walked out of this jail.
And authorities fear that Carter will return to kill off the surviving witnesses.
It was awful. I was freaked out thinking, well, he's out of jail in Mexico now. What's going to stop him from doing whatever he wants? So I figured he would come back.
Pinckney did seem to be getting a lot of lucky breaks. I mean, how often does an American just walk out of a jail?
Investigators soon learned the sickening details. Carter bought his way out of prison for $1,000. Money they believe was supplied to him by his family.
When you do the math, Carter murdered 3 people. He was allowed to pay $1,000 to get out of jail. So that meant their lives were only worth $333 each. And in my mind, that wasn't gonna work. That was not gonna be their legacy.
And I was assured that that would not happen, that he would be spending years in Mexican prison. But so he's out on the loose. So then how do we capture him back? Where is he? Is he still in Mexico somewhere? Has he come back into the United States?
The FBI mobilizes an international manhunt for the newest addition to their most wanted list, triple murderer, Pinckney Carter.
FBI, as they always do, just jump right on it. If you make the FBI top 10 list, you know, they're gonna find you eventually.
Eric Polwitz of the FBI's Jacksonville field office is in charge of hunting Carter down.
The next step that I took was calling the Customs and Border Patrol, and I asked them to put him on the lookout list, so if he tries to cross through, his information will be flagged.
Even with the U.S. borders tightened, authorities are fearful Carter's anger might now be focused on Liz's remaining children. Jacksonville deputies set up roadblocks looking for Carter.
Hello, sir. Can you see your license and registration?
While the FBI keeps a watchful eye on Carter's family.
We had to open up a pen register, which allows us to track incoming and outgoing phone numbers. When you have no friends and you're in another country, what you're gonna do, you're gonna call your family for help.
The FBI launches an international media blitz and plasters Carter's face on every television in North America. Although Carter was last seen in Mexico, the elusive fugitive could be almost anywhere. Sightings of Carter pour in from around the globe.
He was in Mexico for a period of time. He went into Honduras or El Salvador.
They hear Carter's taken up with a motorcycle gang and that he's crossed the border into the U.S. several times, once on a private yacht into Tampa Bay. But with each potential lead, investigators find themselves one step behind.
It's a very serious cat and mouse game where Pinckney doesn't want to get caught. He's doing everything he can to avoid being caught, and we're doing everything we can to find him and bring him back.
In the spring of 2003, Pinckney Carter crosses back over the border into the United States undetected. He finds the perfect place to hide.
He joined a carnival circuit. He traveled through the Northeast to the Northwest here in the United States.
Investigators fear what could happen with an obsessive killer lurking amidst countless unsuspecting women.
He just stayed under the radar. He just stayed very low key, doing menial labor jobs, just staying out of trouble, just laying low.
He just seemed to have a lot of luck in his favor, but most of the time luck will run out eventually. Then all it takes is just one lucky break for law enforcement to bring Pinckney back to justice.
On New Year's Day 2004, State Trooper Brad Smith gets a report of a stolen car parked outside a bar in the tiny town of Mayfield, Kentucky.
I assume that whoever stole the vehicle had driven it there and were in the bar at the time.
All right, gentlemen, nobody's leaving. I need to see some ID. You, come on.
After lining everyone up, their story checked out. We narrowed it down to one guy.
Come here.
His alibi doesn't check out, and he doesn't have an ID. He's evasive and lies about who he is. Twice.
He was definitely nervous to be talking to us. It almost seemed like he was looking for an escape route. He says, I want to come clean. I want to tell you I'm wanted for lack of child support payment in Illinois. And I basically told him, I said, I don't care.
Smith's partner runs the drifter down to the local jail. The next afternoon, while looking through a binder of wanted posters, Trooper Smith recognizes a face.
I'm flipping through the pages, and about halfway through, literally, I stopped and saw a picture of a guy.
And this is the guy I picked up the other day.
And it said wanted for 3 murders in Jacksonville, Florida.
It stops him in his tracks. The drifter at the bar is a vicious killer on the FBI's most wanted list.
The hair on the back of my neck stood up. I was like, this is the guy, this is him. There's no doubt in my mind. I am 100% sure that's him.
Smith immediately calls the jail to alert them that their John Doe is really Pinckney Carter. But it's too late. Carter has already bonded out of prison and is once again on the run.
Probably the worst feeling, just a sick feeling, knowing that you had a guy that was wanted for murder. We had him, and now he's gone.
Pinckney Carter is staying one step ahead of the law. For the second time, the triple murderer has simply walked out of prison. In Kentucky, state police booked an unknown man for lying about his identity. By the time they realized their suspect was in fact Pinckney Carter, the triple murderer had paid the bond for his release.
We were very upset at the fact that he seems like every time we catch him, he's let go. Just seems like he always gets away.
But at least authorities now have a credible lead. Smith learns Carter bonded out of jail using the alias Rodney Von Fun.
I did a little bit more legwork, found out where the guy was living, found out who he was dating, where he was working.
Carter has been working for a local roofing company, and his next paycheck is in 2 days, and he hasn't split town yet. The FBI and Kentucky officials now know where he is, but need a plan to bring him in.
Pinckney Carter had murdered 3 people. He's considered a very dangerous individual who, if threatened or if he believed that his freedom may be taken from him, he could kill again.
So an undercover officer and an FBI special agent set up a sting, hoping to catch Pinckney Carter off guard.
And they knew that at a particular time of day, he would go to work. They put the hood open and acted like they were working on the car. And as he drove up, they flagged him down.
Hey, buddy, you know anything about cars?
They asked him if he knew anything about this particular type of car. He said that he'd take a look at it.
Do you need a jump?
He walked right over and he came right up to the police officers and That's when they grabbed him and said, "You're under arrest."
Under arrest, put your hands on the car.
It went down without a hitch.
And they asked him if he was Pinckney Carter. He said yes.
Luck is finally on the side of the investigators. Back in Jacksonville, Florida, the families of the victims get the news they have waited so long to hear.
It was a huge sigh of relief with that. It was the biggest relief I probably will ever get in my whole life.
But it isn't over yet, as Carter is flown back to Florida to stand trial. On December 22nd, 2005, Carter is found guilty in all 3 homicides.
Thanks for coming over.
Oh, no problem, baby. This is math.
Prosecutors say Carter arrived at Liz's house armed to kill.
What are you doing here?
He took a gun there, fully loaded. He hid the rifle so that Mr. Pafford wouldn't be alerted. He had confronted Miss Reed, Mr. Pafford.
I thought you were done with this guy.
Oh my God! Call 911!
Glenn Pafford was shot 3 times in the head. He turns the gun on Liz, shooting her twice. Courtney is collateral damage, a witness Carter had to eliminate.
The last thing that Courtney saw, Pinckney Carter was there with a rifle, killing her mother, and then turning it on her.
Investigators finally learn the reason why Rebecca's life was spared that night.
Carter testified in court that as he's going out the door, he looks back and he sees Rebecca, 8-year-old Rebecca, leaning over Courtney. But at this point, he doesn't have any more bullets left. So Rebecca's saved.
Carter is sentenced to death for the murders of Liz Reed and her boyfriend, Glenn Pafford. The court determines that Courtney's murder was not premeditated. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The family and friends of Liz, Courtney, and Glenn Pafford might never find peace with their murders, but find comfort in justice served.
Liz's 3 surviving children, they do have their demons. They will always have their demons, but they're all 3 doing very well.
FBI law enforcement brought me a sense of security. They gave me some of my trust back for people. It helped a lot with my nightmares.